Are you ready?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya On Air. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm back again. You are now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya On Air. I am your lovely host, Miss Sonya Hudson Payne. And how do I start off each and every single show? Did you guess it yet? Of course, I have another great show for you. Coming up in just a few short moments, I have actress London De Leon. I love that name. I wonder if that's a real name, because you know sometimes when people get into Hollywood, all of a sudden they're a new person, new name, but I love the name nonetheless. So let's just find out where that name came from in just a few short moments. But until then, you miss a show, you definitely miss a lot. You can find Sanya On Air shows streaming on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and also on my website. Make sure you go check out www.sanyaonair.com. So you know what this show does. Every single week when I have celebrity guests join me, the purpose of Sanya On Air is to connect the big OGs to the little OGs. So this is what we're going to do, okay? Once again, on this edition of Sanya On Air with actress London De Leon. So like I said, make sure you catch me on all streaming platforms. And if you are a business, organization, if you are a rapper, an artist, and you would like to have your music or your business on Sanya On Air, I also have ad space. So make sure that you hit me up at SanyaHudson@she.company so I can give you those ad rates so that you can join Sanya On Air and have some ad space. But I'm totally excited to talk to this actress. We have a lot of time during this edition of Sanya On Air to speak with her. She has been in over 50 television shows and films. Over 50. That's no small feat, especially as a Black actress in Hollywood, where there really isn't a lane for melanin dopeness. So she's just going to give us, just a little bit of the tricks to the trade, and also, some of her background history, because I'm sure there's someone tuning in who is still trying to carve out some space or still trying to figure out how to create a lane in this world I call it Holly Weird. You may refer to it as Hollywood. So without any further ado, let's just get right on into it with our conversation with actress London De Leon. London, how are you? Hello, London. Hello. Hi, London. Let's try. We're always having technical difficulties. Hi, London. Can you hear me? She still can't hear me. Hi, London. Still no sound. London, can you hear me? We're just going to try to continue working this out. This is what happens. I keep telling you all, in live radio and live podcasting, things happen. So my engineer is just off to the side, just making sure that he has that all squared away so that we can have another great conversation. One thing that I did the other day, which was so dope. Matter of fact, it was just last night, and I filmed a short video as I was walking into the studio. Have you checked out Leslie Jones's new comedy special on Netflix? OMG. I know you've seen Leslie Jones on Saturday Night Live. When I tell you her comedy special is everything, it is everything. And so just to continue with the everythingness of everything dope, I have a conversation for you with actress London De Leon. So we're just going to see if we have that cleared away. London, are you there? Hi, London. I guess London Bridges is falling down, falling down. I don't know what's going on, but I'm telling you, just back to the whole Leslie Jones comedy special. It gave me everything, especially at 1:00 in the morning when I finally got home and I said, you know what? I just want some me time. I didn't even know that she had a comedy special. I just kind of go to Netflix to see what's going on. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's a new comedy special with Leslie Jones. I'm going to be real. Yes, I think that she is a dope comedian, but I was sleeping on her a little bit. Sometimes when these comedians get on Saturday Night Live, just something happens. I hear it ringing. Something something happens where they're a little bit watered down and they're just not as funny. I'm gonna just leave it as that because a whole other conversation went on in my head. So I kind of slept on Leslie, but I said, okay, let me just give this new comedy show a chance. And I'm so glad that I did. When I tell you, I love comedies or comedians where they make you laugh from the beginning to the end. I love comedians where you're just like, oh my gosh, my stomach hurts from laughing so much. I love comedy where they can tell a joke and then something happens in your life later on and you remember and you have a connection to that joke. So something happened this morning as I was walking into the studio. It's snowing here in New York City. And as I was walking through the snow, the sound that the fresh snow made, it reminded me of one of the jokes that Leslie Jones said as related to 20-something-year-old vagina and the sound that it makes. See, I'm already laughing. I'm telling you, you have to go check out that comedy special. There was something else that I watched on Netflix that was really, really dope. Something else that I slept on because it was just sensationalized by the media. And I was just like, I don't want to be pulled in to these narratives that's created by the media, even though I'm a Black woman in media. But I try to stay away from other media outlets when I feel like they're just making a story. But the story of Aaron Hernandez, that's another dope film to watch on Netflix. So we were just trying to work out the kinks just to make sure that we can bring you another great conversation. So, London, are you there?
I am here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh. Technical difficulties, but we worked it out. How are you?
I am very well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's snowing here in New York City. So I'm thinking about, after this, I have to run a few errands and I'm going to be a greedy girl and run to the next city just for a piece of cornbread. Don't judge me. But then I'm going to go home and park my car so that, I don't get without a parking spot. But just to start this conversation, what I do on this show is I like to connect the big OGs to the little OGs because there are so many dynamic individuals such as yourself that I think the younger generation needs to tap into because we live in a space where they're looking at us and they might be looking at you like, who are these, more mature women? They don't know what they're talking about, not understanding that you have so many lessons that you can impart upon my audience. So once again, thank you for being on the show. And I want to give a huge shout out to your cheekbones. You have some amazing cheekbones. You're from Barbados, correct?
Yes, yeah, Bridgetown.
Oh, wow. So were you born in Barbados or is this just your family?
Yes, exactly. I was born in Barbados, but then my family moved to South Carolina. So I was raised in South Carolina. Yes.
Oh, wow. And if you don't mind me asking, because I know that I'm a woman of a particular age. I'm 47. I don't mind because I think I look amazing. I mean, you don't have to tell us your exact age, but are you in your late 30s, 40s? Like, how old are you?
Yeah, I am somewhere in that range.
Oh, got you. Got you. But your story is very successful in my opinion, but I just want to kind of go back a little bit so people can really see your story and feel your narrative. Am I wrong? Because I read somewhere where you worked in Burger King as a teenager. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. My family, we were poor. I didn't grow up in the projects, but like the house going into the projects. So I worked at Burger King because I had a dream. I said, hey, I want to go to LA. And I knew they didn't have the money to send me there. Right. So I actually flipped fries and saved my money. I saved up $200. When the time was right, I got a Greyhound bus ticket. Got that ticket, traveled 3 days to L.A. Wow. And, so I worked at Burger King, saved my money, went to L.A., ended up finding a roommate because I was dirt poor. So I found a roommate, and my roommate was an actress/model. She said, hey, look, since you're crashing on my couch and don't have money, why don't you come with me to this audition? So I went and got the audition.
Oh my gosh. So $200 in your pocket. What were you
That's it.
feeling as you were on the bus and just watching the scenery, not knowing what you were going to expect once the bus got to Los Angeles? Talk about the feelings.
You know what? I was excited. During that time, I was 17, 18. Now looking back today, I'd be like, oh my God, there's no way I would do that,
Really?
especially the way things are now.
Hmm.
But during that time, I was just happy. I didn't care whether it was $2 or $10. I just wanted to get out the South.
Wow.
I knew, God had a bigger plan for me.
Uh-huh.
So I just felt great going through from Texas to Arizona, out to LA. It was a great feeling.
Wow. So, what would the London today tell the London who was on the bus traveling with only $200 in her pocket from South Carolina to Los Angeles? What would you tell her then?
I would tell her to be true to yourself.
Hmm.
Keep your eyes and ears open. Don't be gullible. Don't be naive. Um, and use whatever stumbling blocks as a stepping stone.
Hmm. Now, that's great advice, that anybody needs to hear. I think that's great advice that I even needed to hear today. But let's just also
Mm-hmm.
capture you as a young girl living in South Carolina, fresh from
Mm-hmm.
Barbados. What was the culture like growing up in South Carolina?
Um, of course, racism.
Yeah.
Um, it was tough. Most of my friends were either in jail or pregnant at a young age. So it was a very tough place to live. Um, we always had food on our table. Didn't have to worry about lights being cut off.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard.
Right.
It was hard.
I understand. I understand. So, what made you get the thought in your head living in South Carolina in that climate where you said, you know what, I want to pursue Hollywood. I want to be an actress. What sparked that?
Hmm. Well, my dad was the lead singer in a gospel band,
Oh.
and yes, so I knew I wanted to be in entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So right then, when I saw him on stage for the first time, I said, "Hey, this is what I want to do." I was hungry. I wasn't going to let anything get in my way, and I knew I wasn't going to do it in South Carolina.
Right.
So it was just taking that chance.
Right. And I'm sure you took a
You know,
chance having the conversation with your parents that you were about to take $200 and leave South Carolina and go to Los Angeles. Were your family supportive of that
they were
conversation
very
and move?
supportive.
Really?
Absolutely, yes, very supportive. And of course, I thought, especially me being the youngest, me being the baby, I
Mm-hmm.
thought my mom would have a problem with it. But she said, "Hey, go ahead, stay prayed up," and yeah, they were very supportive of me.
Oh, that's nice. That's so
Hmm.
uncommon, nowadays. Because I just come from a generation where when I would speak to my parents about, let's say, pursuing a career in entertainment, they didn't really know what that space was, and they just thought that to be successful, it meant that you had a career or a job where you had to have a degree.
Hmm.
So
Yes,
I'm glad that your experience was so much different because I'm telling you, you're speaking life and encouragement into someone listening in who may be challenging themselves to have that conversation with their parents about taking that
true.
step of faith. Now, your household,
Hmm.
you said your father, he was a gospel singer, and you said your mom prayed over you. So did you come from a sort of spiritual or religious type of household and background?
Oh yes, absolutely. We were in church at least 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh, wow.
So yes, very spiritual, very religious. But I'm glad that I came from that background because it helped me out in LA. The
Mm,
industry can be a very dark industry.
yeah.
So, just having a praying, mom, just, turning to my Bible, that helped me. It got me through so many dark, rough times.
So
So
talk
yes.
about those dark and rough times because people just see people on the big screen, on the small screen, listening to them on their stereos, and they don't understand that there is an other side to Hollywood. So what were some of the challenges and obstacles that you faced in Hollywood, and specifically
Uh,
as a Black
mhm.
woman?
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. A few challenges. Like I said, at one point I was homeless, but I was lucky to find someone who let me crash on their couch.
Hmm.
Another challenge, being hungry, being young, being naive. And back then we called it the casting couch. So
Right.
there were a few directors or producers saying, "Hey, you go out on a date with me, then I'll put you in this movie," or, "Oh, you sleep with me," and "Oh, you can be on this series." So just once again, not falling into that.
Hmm. So
So that was another challenge.
So that brings up this whole Me Too movement. So you said
Absolutely.
that, you had some casting directors who promised you some things if you did something sexual in return. As you were,
Mhm.
did you ever think about, well, maybe I should do this because I do want my career to skyrocket? Like, what was your mental space and how did you deal with those type of experiences? And did you even say, okay, well, let me do a little something strange for some change at some point?
I never. Like I said, I wanted to stay true to myself.
Hmm.
For one, okay, you sleep with them. That don't guarantee anything.
Right.
Two, I was not going to sell myself out like that.
Hmm.
It's just, I've seen friends, models from, a few music videos here and there who would sleep with guys and this, that, but that was never me. That was never my thing.
Hmm.
I said, if I'm going to make it, I'm going to do it the right way.
Right.
Um, so no, that it just wasn't in me. It didn't sit right with my soul. So no, I no.
Wow. So
Mm-mm.
going to Hollywood with the $200 and entering this whole acting Hollywood space, did you also take acting classes or was this something that came natural to you?
Oh yes, absolutely. I took classes at the Los Angeles Theater Academy,
Hmm.
and it was a conservatory Monday through Friday.
Hmm.
So everything from scene study to Stanislavski code reading. So yeah, it was very intensive.
Wow. And that's another thing because in this whole space of social media where people become insta famous by just having, these videos or the number of likes and the number of followers, they need to understand that people go through formal training in order to be on the big screen or the small screen. So I'm glad that you mentioned that you had training, but also something that I'm very impressed by is your diversified portfolio. When I'm interviewing, and I call you a celebrity, when I'm interviewing celebrities or having conversations with celebrities, I'm finding that they don't just do one thing. So I just want to tap into some of the other things that you do as well. You also launched a record label. Talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. Yes, I launched a record label called Dirty Records. Oh wow, this was years ago.
Uh-huh.
I had a few friends who were punk rockers. They had a great sound. They even, had a great following, but they didn't have a record label.
Hmm.
So what I did, I wrote up a press release. I found some private investors. I started Dirty Records. One of the first artists on the label was D.H. Feligro. He's known from the Dead Kennedys.
Hmm.
So he already had a following, and it was a small label making big sound. So
Hmm.
yes, yeah, great punk rock label. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm
Hmm.
glad I was able to help a few artists.
Yeah, you help a
So
few
yeah,
artists. You help some of your artists land their music on television shows. So that's
I sure
successful.
did.
That's successful. So I want to make
Yeah.
sure that you understand what you did because we often tend to downplay what we've done. And I want to make sure that you receive your roses now. But you also mentioned something about finding investors to help
Mhm.
you launch your record label, Dirty Records. Talk about that pitch. So were they investors that you knew, or was it people that you had to convince to invest?
Okay. Okay. Well, first, the ones that I didn't know that I tried to convince,
Hmm.
they felt that a black woman cannot have a successful punk rock label
Right.
because punk rock is more of a white, male thing.
Yeah.
However, once I went to investors that I knew, they were very supportive. They
Hmm.
believed in me, they believed in my vision, and they put the money up. So it started out with people I didn't know, and then I ended up going to people that I knew.
Hmm. So talk about a little bit more about the pitch. Like, what did your pitch entail? Like, was it the vision for your record label where you saw it in 5 or 10 years? Because people don't know how to pitch nowadays. So can you just talk a little bit more about what your pitch was?
My pitch was more, like I said, Dave Peligro, he already had that following. Mm-hmm. So my pitch was more on him. Okay. And, the dead Kennedys and the history of the dead Kennedys. So it was more of him already being a celebrity. Mm-hmm. So, and yes, of course, I had to have that vision, my 5-10-year vision.
Right.
So yeah, it was more of him as an artist and him already having that following.
So what made you get into music? Was it because you had a previous love of music, or you wanted to explore something entirely new?
Like I said, my dad, he was in a gospel band, so I already knew I wanted to get in entertainment. Right. As far as music, I've always loved music. My friends, they were in a band, and I'm thinking, you know what, let me just go ahead and get them out there. And, so a little bit of growing up and my dad being in the industry to, having friends who, were rockers who just needed that push and someone who believed in them. So I felt that was, God's way of saying, hey, let's just go ahead and just put it out there and see what happens.
Got you. And you also have or had a hair company. Talk about that.
Yes, actually a wig company.
Oh, wig company. So, nice.
Yeah. My own lace front wig. So yeah, once again, my love for hair and making wigs, and I do them all myself.
Oh, you do them yourself?
Oh, I do. Yeah. That's another little hobby / passion of mine.
Oh.
So people can always go on my website, LondonDeLeon.net, mm-hmm. and just view my wigs. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll definitely take a look at that. Can you just give us your website once again?
Yes, it's www.londonLUNDEN DeLeon.net.
Great. I'm definitely going to be checking out that website. I have so much I want to talk to you about. But I know when I first started this conversation before you were joined on the show, I mentioned your name, London DeLeon. Is that your real name, or is that a Hollywood name? Because that is like a Blanche Devereaux type of dynasty type name. Is that real?
No, that's my stage name.
I knew it. Well, honey, you chose a fabulous name.
Well, thank you.
So do your friends, because when I go back home around the way, I'm just Sanya. They're like, oh, you spoke to this person. And I'm like, look, I'm still Sanya. So do your friends treat you like your birth name, or do they treat you like London DeLeon?
Oh, my friends back home, they treat me like my birth name. This whole London thing to them is just some Hollywood,
right.
Thingy. So absolutely not.
Right. Wow. Are you married? Do you have kids?
I'm not. No, I am single.
Oh, do you want to get married?
If the right person comes along, of course. But he has to be, spiritually together and mentally, emotionally supportive, right. Especially in a business like this. So.
And that
right now I'm dating myself. So
I got it. And that goes into the next question, because there are so many business savvy women, especially women in this whole Hollywood space, who are telling me that, dating is so difficult. Very, very difficult. Mm-hmm. How are you able to manage, being on the grind and going to auditions and running your company and still trying to find space for a relationship? Is that a challenge for you, or is it very easy?
Yeah, it is a challenge. In the beginning, I may meet someone and he's okay with what I do, but then, after, a couple of months, it all falls apart.
Yeah.
So, either he's, a little bit resentful, or I just don't have time. Mm. So it's tough. That's why right now, I'm dating myself. Whenever it's time for me to, have that person in my life, I feel God will bring that person. So I'm not going to settle.
So if you could describe, well, you did a little bit, your perfect man. You said he had to be spiritual. What if let's say a 24-year-old man came your way? Would you give him some play?
No, he'd have to be of a particular age.
I got you.
So, I'd say 35 and up.
35 and up. What if he was 20 years older than you? Would he still be an option?
Okay, that would be okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, I don't mind that. I've dated older guys. I love it. I call it seasons.
Me too. Me too. Very seasoned. I like it. But
Oh yeah.
I want to transition into this conversation into what you currently have going on because I'm in awe. I'm in awe. You will star as Mamie Till, who is Emmett Till's mother, in the Justice on Trial movie alongside Dorian Wilson from the Parkers. Now, for those of you who don't remember who Dorian Wilson is from the Parkers, all I'm going to say is, hey, Professor Ogilvy. Okay.
There you go.
So tell us about this film, Justice on Trial, and your role as Mamie Till.
Yes, Justice on Trial. It was actually a Broadway play turned into a film.
I didn't know that.
We filmed it in Georgia, and like you said, I played the role of Mamie Till. It was a very powerful and emotional role. I think it's the most important role I've ever played, and I wanted to be true to her character. I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of video, which it was real hard, as you could imagine. But yeah, it will be out actually next month, so in February.
And is that coming to theaters or will that be on television?
Yes, in theaters.
In theaters. Wow.
Yes.
This is huge. And this is why I'm telling you this conversation, connecting the big OGs to the little OGs, because there are so many, let's say, teenagers who might not understand the story of Emmett Till and why it is relevant and why we need to rush to the theaters once it comes out. You said next month or two?
Yes, next month, February.
So this gut-wrenching story, this black print in American history,
Sure.
what was done to Emmett Till. I believe he was 14 years old at the time.
He was 14. Yep, 14 from Chicago. Went down to Mississippi to visit family. So yeah, he was 14 at the time.
14 years old, and a white woman alleged that he said something inappropriate to her and whistled at her, and then her husband and his friends came and took Emmett Till, and they tied a weight and some other things around his body, and they threw him in, what was it, the Chattahoochee River? Is that correct?
Yep.
So
Correct.
as I'm speaking about the story, like, emotions are surfacing for me. So where do you pull your emotional drive so that you can encompass a character of such magnitude that left a deep print in American history? Where did you pull your emotions from?
Yeah, once again, like I said, I watched video, I did research, and with my scene, it's a courtroom scene, and it's actually her seeing Emmett for the first time after all this happened.
Oh, wow.
So, just becoming the character and just digging deep. So I pulled my emotions just from becoming her.
Just becoming.
Just allowing myself to. Oh man.
To feel what it would feel like if a mother saw that happen to her child and she had to see him for the first time.
Exactly.
Wow.
There you go. Exactly.
Wow. I'm just sitting here now and my mind just went back to what that room and what her feelings and emotions could have potentially have been, because I'm a mom.
Wow.
I'm a mom myself. So that's gut wrenching.
Yeah.
But if you were to talk to a little OG that is 23 years old, what would you tell them? Why should they go see this film, Justice on Trial?
Like you said, it's part of our history.
Yeah.
It's an important film. A lot of young people, they don't know Emmett Till's story.
Right.
Yeah. So once again, like I said, it's important. You need to know that history.
So true. And I know, I've heard a lot of 20-something years old say, why do we keep having to watch films like this? Like, that happened back in the past, I don't think that they have a clear understanding that what those things that happened, it wasn't that long ago, and we're not that
Mhm.
far removed. So I'm hoping that people truly race to the theaters and see this film.
Mhm.
Have you seen it in its entirety?
Have I seen it yet
Have you
since it's
seen it
been
yet?
in post production? I
Yes.
have not. No, they're still in
Mm.
post production, so I haven't seen the whole thing yet.
Oh wow. Wow. I really
Mhm.
once that happens, once the film is released, like I want to circle back to you and I just want you to
Okay.
tell me like what emotions did that give to you now that you saw the film in its entirety? But what I'm
Mhm.
hoping, we're about to watch the Oscars, the Golden Globes most recently
Mhm.
happened, and I'm hoping that this gets a nod or some acknowledgement. How do you feel about these award shows, the Oscars, the Golden Globes? And do you feel as if they haven't fully acknowledged Black actors and Black films enough?
Oh, absolutely not. We read about that all the time. So many times we get overlooked.
Yeah.
Or, for example, when I love Denzel, you know, some we read about, others saying, "Man, why did he win for oh God, what was the movie?
Was it Training Day?
Training Day." Yes, when he has such an amazing body of work.
Yeah, yeah,
So yes, I
true.
yes, I do feel we get overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we do?
That's the question. What
What
do we
can we
do?
do?
What do we do,
Yes.
and what can we do?
Mhm.
I'm just hoping that some sort of revolution, and I'm hoping that it's televised, will
Mhm.
happen because I'm tired of this being a conversation,
Mhm.
amongst people
Mhm.
of color where we are overlooked and our roles are minimized and we are only acknowledged when we play gangsters, when we play drug dealers, when we play, buffoons.
Mhm.
I'm not speaking ill of Denzel Washington, but like you said, there were so many other roles that he played that I think deserved, Oscar awards and Golden
Exactly.
Globes. So I'm hoping that, maybe in the next
Mhm.
few years, we are no longer talking about those things.
Mhm.
But I'm excited to watch this new film. Do you plan to have a watch party or will you go to the theaters by yourself?
Oh, I'll go to the theaters and watch it. So yes,
Really?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you,
I'll go to the premiere.
uh-huh.
Yeah, with the rest of the cast and crew, and
Nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. So when is the premiere screening? When is that? And where will it be? Is it out in LA?
Yes, as of now, it is out in LA. As far as the date,
Mm-hmm.
the producers and the director, they haven't given me a concrete date yet, but yes,
Right.
it will be out in LA.
Nice, nice, nice. So before I end every single conversation with my guests, I like to play a little game with them. And the game is called Connect the Big OGs to the Little OGs. And what that means is I'm going to say the name of something or someone from the 80s or 90s, and you have to say the
Okay.
first thing that comes to mind. Are you okay with that?
Okay.
Okay, so we
Absolutely.
briefly spoke about this actor at the onset of this conversation, but this is the body of work that really resonates with me, and
Hmm.
the two words are the Parkers.
Say the two words once again.
The
I'm sorry.
Parkers. Remember the Parkers with Dorian Wilson? Where
Oh, the
the
Parkers.
Parkers? Yes. What word comes to your
Oh,
mind?
Monique.
Ah, hey, Professor Ogilvy. Okay. The next, Nelson Mandela.
Strength.
Okay, this one is a movie, one of my all-time favorites. Friday.
Say the name of the movie again. I'm sorry.
Friday. Friday. Have you seen Friday with Ice Cube?
Friday. Oh
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Friday.
Friday.
Oh, Friday. What comes to my mind? Fun.
Fun? Like,
Fun.
yeah, okay, okay. And the last one, this is another movie, House Party.
House party. Oh, growing up.
Growing up. Growing, it
Yeah.
did. It did. It reminds me of when I was growing up too, like those in between moments. Thank you, for
Hmm.
playing, that brief game with me. What do you have coming up next?
Yes. I have a movie I'm filming here in North Carolina, in Wilmington called Pain. So in Pain, play a detective, Yvette Page, and she's a hard-nosed detective trying to find a serial killer. So I have that coming up. Yeah, right now there's a movie on Netflix called Black Bear. So in that I play Nurse London. Also, there's a movie right now on Amazon Prime called Turnt. And with Turnt, it also stars Jamal Woolard, who played Notorious B.I.G.
Oh.
So that's a great, coming of age film.
Yeah.
So catch Turnt on Amazon Prime and Black Bear on Netflix. And like I said, Pain, which we're filming now in North Carolina.
Look at that. Black girl working. I love it. And I will definitely tonight, because like I said, it's snowing here in New York City. So I'm just going to be, heading home and catching up on a whole bunch of dope films. So I'll definitely be watching Black Bear, you said, right?
Yes.
Black Bear on Netflix. Thank you so much for this dope conversation. You're amazing.
Thank you.
The diversified portfolio, just showing women and men how to do it, how to navigate through Hollywood, especially the casting couch. And also, just confirming that the Black space in Hollywood needs to be strengthened, because there is an amazing lane for us. But, I'm glad that women like you're creating the lane also. So thank you so much, London.
Oh, thank you. And you have a blessed one.
Thank you. You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You do.
So there you have it. I told you London was a Hollywood name. I told you London De Leon. I'm telling you, when I said that name, London De Leon, it reminded me of Blanche Devereaux from Dynasty. I remember going to one of my first entertainment Hollywood events, and they asked me, they said, okay, what's your name? And I said, my name is Sanya Hudson Payne. And they said, oh my gosh, you sound like the Black Dynasty. So whenever I speak to individuals in Hollywood and they tell me their names, I just remember that space, and I'm like, is that their real name, or is that a Hollywood name? But she's dope, in my opinion. And once again, I intentionally look for next guests to come onto the show, just amazing people who can pour out tangible lessons, and they don't just come on the show with fake pretenses and snootiness and nose up in the air. Like, I asked them about the 80s and the 90s because I really want to see if they're about that culture. I really, really do. And sometimes they stumble through a little bit. That's okay. But I really want to make sure that I'm bringing guests that also resonate with you, so that by the time this show ends, you have a whole bunch of takeaways. So what was really impressive for me, $200, and I'm going to move and I'm going to go to Hollywood with $200. That's scary. Very, very scary. But she stepped out on faith. There's so many things in this whole narrative of me pushing my media platform forward. It really started off with an idea. And I was in between jobs at the time. I had left the Department of Education as a classroom teacher. And it started off with someone asking me if I wanted to be a co-host on their show. And I was like, what? I could talk? I used to get in trouble in school for talking. I was that kid in school that had my seat changed, I would say, every week or two, because I was talking. And it got to a point where I would sit right by the teacher's desk. You would think that would deter me? Nope, it did not. I was that student. I would have the note. I would tell that person to pass it to that person, to pass it to that person, so it can make its way all the way to the back. So bringing this full circle, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to believe in yourselves, even when other people don't believe in you. That's all it starts with. Belief in yourself. And I'm telling you, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. Just keep walking forward. And you may have to take 2 steps back. That's okay. When you take those 2 steps back, ask yourself, why? What happened where I had to take these 2 steps back? And use it as a teachable moment so that you are gathering lessons so that you can continue walking forward and forward and forward. Mind you, even though you keep walking forward, you may have to take a step back or 2 every once in a while, but that is totally fine. It is totally fine. Just have faith in yourself. Just like London said, with $200, she moved from South Carolina to Los Angeles. Her friend allowed her to live with her, sleep on her couch, maybe even her floor. She went on her very first audition and she booked it. And it's history from there. Over 50 television shows and films. And I'm telling you, I don't lie to my guests. I'm telling you, when I go home, I'm going to be watching Black Bear on Netflix. And when Justice on Trial is released in films, I want to see you all there. I want to see us represented. Hollywood can't understand that we support Black films, especially Black historical or timepiece stories, if we don't show up and we don't show out. So we have to show our numbers at the box office. We really, really do. Because you have these white executives seated at the table and they're thinking that we don't support each other. And unfortunately, our numbers kind of show that we don't support each other. So I'm going to end this edition of Sanya On Air with just that, because I think I said something that was a word. That was a word. And I want to leave you with the word, hallelujah, so that you can think. So that you can really think about what we need to do to push our narratives forward. Because I don't want my daughter, who is 24 years old. You see, I ain't afraid to say my name. You notice how she ain't say her name, though, but that's another story. That's another story. That's another story. I don't want to have the conversation with my daughter who's 24 when she turns 36, and we're talking about how Hollywood doesn't acknowledge or create more lanes for the Black narratives, which is really the American narrative. That we always screaming about inclusion and diversity, but then we have a Black culture section when you go into these television and these film networks. So we're really going to talk about this conversation. I don't want to have this conversation in the next 5 or 10 years. So when Justice on Trial premieres in theaters, I need you all to show up and show out. Thank you for joining me today on Sanya On Air. I'm going to head home and I'm going to watch, what's her name? London De Leon on Black Bear on Netflix. Thank you so much for tuning in. Smooches, dolls. Take care.